working in a work environment, I had to wear safety shoes and the like. And then eventually when I got into the professional world, I had to wear shoes as well, because you had to wear a suit back then and the like. So it was always, to look professional. Now, I do have a picture of me. I noticed when I was looking through some old pictures from, jeepers, it probably was about 1980. And I kicked my shoes off and put my shoes on the desk. And I had a pipe, because back then you could smoke in the office. I was smoking a pipe in my bare socks, not barefoot, but in my bare socks. And, it's always felt more comfortable for me not to wear shoes.
More natural.
It is. I mean, we're born barefoot and we're going to die barefoot. Let's face it.
Welcome back to Beyond Small Talk, where real conversations lead to new perspectives. I'm your host, Chris. Joining me today is Ron Blechner. Ron, thanks for coming on the show, man.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's my honor. I'm truly honored.
To the public, you're known as the Barefoot guy.
Okay, I am. It kind of goes like that, yeah.
I actually found this photo of you in your earlier years. Where was that photo taken? Because I noticed you ain't got no shoes on.
I don't. Yeah, that's a wonderful way to live. And you're right. That was taken when I lived in a state up north, New Jersey, and probably about 30 years ago at this point.
Okay.
It was. I had begun. I gave up my shoes well before that, though. I mean, this is just like part of my story.
Yeah.
Yeah, right around this time, I had as far as not wearing shoes goes, I had New Jersey Monthly approach me for an article.
Okay.
And so people will find that online, the article from that. And then the local newspapers saw that there was a local guy and they could make a story out of it too, so they decided to do that. And then people just started, I'd go into a store and someone would say, hey, there's that barefoot guy, But nowadays, people just know me as Ronnie B Barefoot or the barefoot guy, and that's okay. I'm all right with that.
What initially sparked the idea of not wearing shoes or going barefoot?
Oh boy, that goes back to my childhood, Chris. I grew up in the Bay communities of Long Island. And we used to, back then, we didn't need a clamming license if we wanted to clam, so we'd just jump off of a boat and fill our pockets with clams or some food if we wanted to. Summertime came when we were kids, Chris, and people didn't wear shoes. I mean, I shouldn't say people didn't, but all the kids, they just lived the barefoot life. I mean, you'd go pick mulberries or play stickball or whatever you wanted to do, push a homemade cart down the street that you made, and the kids just didn't wear shoes. And then when school time started up again, then it was time to buy a new pair of shoes. You use the old shoes for like beating around when you needed old shoes, and then you'd get a new pair of sneakers for sports at school. And that's and you had to put the shoes on again.
So you said it kind of started when you were in your childhood, but you think as you come into like teenage years, adult years, are you putting the shoes on, or have you kind of adapted just no shoes?
Well, in the professional environment, you don't have much of a choice.
Yeah.
So when I went to college and commuted to New York City, I had to wear shoes. And then when I started my professional career, I had to wear shoes. Working in a work environment, I had to wear safety shoes and the like. And then eventually when I got into the professional world, I had to wear shoes as well, because you had to wear a suit back then and the like. So it was always, to look professional. Now, I do have a picture of me. I noticed when I was looking through some old pictures from, jeepers, it probably was about 1980. And I kicked my shoes off and put my shoes on the desk. And I had a pipe, because back then you could smoke in the office. I was smoking a pipe in my bare socks, not barefoot, but in my bare socks. And, it's always felt more comfortable for me not to wear shoes.
More natural.
It is. I mean, we're born barefoot and we're going to die barefoot. Let's face it.
So how long have you been kind of embracing that sort of lifestyle?
Forever.
Forever.
Forever. Yeah. I guess during my professional career, I tried to sneak it if I could. Like I'd kick my shoes off under the desk, and then in '95 I started my own company.
Okay.
And I had I had the responsibility of employees, and I decided I just didn't want to wear shoes at the job. My warehouse worker had to wear shoes because for safety reasons.
Cool.
But anybody else in the front office area, if they chose to be barefoot, it was their choice. And one of the biggest no-nos was dropping staples on the floor. That was a no-no.
Imagine walking across one of those staples barefooted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's kind of, when you get calluses, it kind of sticks to your foot, and you look down and you go, what was that? But yeah, it's been ever since then. I've just...
so kind of 80s, late 90s, or early 90s?
Yeah.
Is there stinky feet going on? Can you smell?
No, not at all. Not at all. You see, bare feet are healthy feet. And it's kind of a misnomer that people think that bare feet stink. And if anyone in your audience thinks that bare feet stink, it's probably because, I can't say this definitively, but it's probably because their bare feet stink. And do you know why bare feet stink?
Why is that?
If I'm working on site, if I'm working on an installation with computers to this day, and I know I'm going to be working there for more than 8 hours, I bring a pair of socks. Because something around the 8-hour point is when, you see, in our socks, it's nice and warm and it's wet. It's a natural spot for bacteria to multiply. So what happens after about 8 hours is the bacteria is multiplying because it's eating your sweat and living off the sweat of your foot, and it's pooping on your foot. And that stink that you smell is bacteria poop.
Yeah.
So if you're a morning shower and you don't shower at night after a long day's work and you slide into those sheets at night, you're just sliding all that bacteria poop all and you're rolling around in it all night long. But bare feet don't stink. It's when the bacteria growth, or if you have some type of disease, that could be too. But most diseases are caused by wearing shoes too.
If you think about, because you just brought up diseases and all that fun stuff. Are you ever worried about when you are barefoot, and whether you're in a public setting or a bathroom maybe catching something or stepping in something you probably don't want to be in?
Well, let's face it, we step in stuff all the time. Both physically and emotionally. But when I get home, I wash my feet. As soon as I get home, I have a little spot with water, and it's got some cleanser in it, and I got another bucket to rinse, and I've got a brush, and what I do is I get the stuff on my foot, and I brush my feet, and I brush the dirt off my feet. Now, how many people that wear shoes with all those grooves in the bottom, with all that dirt, go into that same bathroom that I go in, and then they come in the house and they go, "Hey, honey, I'm home."
Walk into the kitchen or whatever.
Worst case scenario, if I step in dog poop or something of the like, I know immediately. So I go and wash it off. But Chris, let's face it, if you step in dog poop, you're going to be walking around, you're going to get the keys to your car, you're going to go in your car, you're going to start the engine, and you're going to go, "What's that smell?" And by then...
It's already too late anyway.
Anyway, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to digress, but...
No, you're good.
I know. Yeah.
Do you think that we're supposed to be barefooted?
I believe that wearing shoes is a social thing. And if people choose to do it, that's a fine thing. And if people choose not to do it, that's a fine thing too. I also believe in dress codes, and I didn't bring my little card in with me. I had a dress code at my business. I allowed my employees or customers to be barefoot if they chose. But I had a little sign. I had a picture of a high heel shoe, with one of those round circles with the red lines through it. And it said greater than 1 inch. So no heels greater than 1 inch.
Why was that your rule?
Because I didn't want people coming in with dangerous high heels or stilettos. And it didn't cause me much problem. I did have a visit from the Stadies one time. The state employees, they came in to audit or do something, and there were 2 men and a woman. And my secretary clued me in when she got me out of my office. And I went in and looked, and they said, "Well, we're here." They flashed their badges and the like. And I looked at this, I looked over to the lady, and I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, you're going to have to either take those shoes off or get another pair of shoes on, because you're not allowed in here with them."
What was the reaction from her?
Oh, she had her badge, and she says, "I'm from the state." And I says, "Well, if you're from the state, then you'll know that if I have a dress code and I don't enforce it uniformly, then I'm violating state law. So I'm going to have to either ask you to leave or to return. You can take the shoes off if you prefer, or put another pair of flats or something on. And she looks over to the two guys, and they go, like, shrugging their shoulders like, I know. But I was right. I think I gained a little more respect from them.
Just standing their ground.
Yeah, that's right. I wasn't being obnoxious because, we go around. Every day we're left with a choice, Chris, on how we treat people. And I like to leave people with a smile and a happy thought. So, even if it comes to conflict, it's such a beautiful thing to be able to go on with some type of positive feeling about it.
Well, yeah. I never knew that there was, because you talk about the support and the positivity, I never knew there was a whole society built around the barefoot living lifestyle.
Well, there is, I don't know, they have the website called Society for Barefoot Living.
Yeah, because you had sent me the link earlier.
I did, yeah. It's a support organization.
Okay.
For people that feel queer, that they have a desire to be barefoot, and that this way they can plug in and understand what the laws are, and understand what the rules are, and understand how to deal with situations that may come up, Chris, because they come up a lot. Let's face it, it's society teaches us we need to wear shoes, and if you choose not to wear shoes, all of a sudden it's like you're gonna get some flack from it.
Well, you talk about the society kind of beliefs and the rules, and I had a myth I wanted to kind of debunk. Is it illegal to drive without shoes?
It is not illegal. I know that's a double negative.
Yeah.
The law states that there is a law against improper footwear, or not improper footwear, insecure footwear is the way it's termed. And there's only one state that mandates that you wear shoes when driving a motorcycle, and that's Alabama. But all the other states, there are no laws. So if you're a female driving barefoot, if you're a female driving with high heels, it's okay to take your shoes off and drive barefoot. And you could look it up. There's letters from all of the on the Society for Barefoot Living, or barefooters.org. There's letters from every single state telling you that there's no laws against it. So sometimes I've been known to carry a letter to show an organization, like if I go in a restaurant and they say you need shoes to be in here.
Like the no shoes, no shirt, because you were saying before on your business, no high heels.
That's right.
But they put the no shoes. Have you ever caught backlash for trying to do that?
Of course I have, yes. Not so much down here. There's only one store that won't, one restaurant, and should I mention their name?
That's up to you.
The Taco Bell. It's the Taco Bell. The owner was there revamping the place, trying to make it look like a Starbucks, I think. And she says, and she made us think about it. And I said, that's okay. That's the only place. There is one other place. It's an organization, but that's besides the point. I don't want to badmouth anybody here. Because they're all good people, but they have their thing. If they want to have a dress code, it's fine. But you know what gets me, and a lot of people don't realize it? They have this sign that says no shirt, no shoes, no service.
Yeah.
Either elders like myself don't know the history of that sign, or the youth has been brainwashed so much that they just think that it's a normal type of thing. No shoes, no shirt, no service.
So what does that actually mean?
That was originally put up in the mid-1960s. That sign did not exist before then. And during the counterculture revolution, to keep the hippies out of the stores, the signs were changed to say that. Prior to that, there were laws that the federal government, good laws, great laws, to stop racism and the like.
Yeah.
The signs didn't used to say no shirt, no shoes, no service. They used to say no dogs, no Mexicans, and no Negroes. That's what they used to say. And so they changed the racist sign when the equal rights movement of the 60s came about, because they can no longer post those signs. And to keep the hippies out, they changed it to that. People don't realize that. They don't do the research. And the shoe industry has just monopolized everything. Everyone believes, how many pairs of shoes do you own?
Any given person, yeah. Since moving from North Carolina several years back, from up north, because we were talking before, because you came from Jersey.
I did. I lived in New Jersey for 30 years.
And that's where you had your business?
I did, yes. I still have it here, but I'm trying to ramp it down and dissolve it. So I still do some business.
After that move and you come to the Carolinas, what was that, in your observation, was there like a cultural difference, living wage, weather? What was the differences that you noticed in the two?
Oh, there's a big difference. Really big difference. But it's a difference that I desired. It's a difference I wanted. I was looking for, first of all, I wanted a climate that was more tolerable. The winters down here are not as cold, and the summers down here at our altitude, we're at 3,000 feet about.
Yeah.
The summers are not as hot, so it's a more temperate climate. So the climate alone is nicer. We're blessed with enough rain. I love to garden, so we're blessed with enough rain here. Of course, the last 3 months besides that, we had that drought that we just got over. Thank God. So the climate was a big thing that I was looking for. I didn't want to move north, and I didn't want to move too far south because it would have either offered too cold a winter or too hot a summer. That was a big part of it. But as far as differences, big differences. We're here. We're not down in the Piedmont, as they call it, down in the flatlands or the foothills, where it's more suburban type of living. We're up here in the mountains, and the mountain culture has maintained the mountain culture environment for a very long time, and that's one of the things I absolutely love. And you see that on some of my videos that I put out there about my love for the mountain people and the way that the mountain people have maintained this culture up in this area. Now, that doesn't mean I agree with all the things with the mountain culture, because there are some things that are a little coarse and a little funny, but you know what? I'm an accepting man. I can accept those things. If they can accept me up here with my bare feet, then it's a beautiful thing to have the love and acceptance of other people that you just go with it. So that is such a beautiful thing. There's differences, but you know what? I'm ready for them. I'm here. I've been here now living here as my primary residence for 15 years.
What is the 15 years that you've been here compared to there? What has it taught you?
Well, it taught me, huh? Gee, I don't know. Well, you know what? I'm learning the mountain ways. I'm learning how to live more free and more deliberately. Is a good term for it. And more self-sufficiently. The mountain people are very self-sufficient. When we had that event 20 months ago, the mountain people, it was a major, major hardship, and we were blessed with all the help that we got from outside of the mountain communities. But you know what? If there was nothing like that, and this happened 100 years ago, mountain people would have survived. They would have just gone along. When I go to the store, and if I want to buy meats, if I want to buy beef, I go to Doug and I say, Doug, I need a half a cow. 2 years ago, I wanted lamb for Easter, and so I found a sheep farmer, and I bought a sheep. He met me over at the butcher, and not only did I get, it was a little more expensive. Don't get me wrong, but it's grass-fed. There's no antibiotics. It's real meat. It doesn't have any PFAS, PFAS. That's that forever chemical that's in a lot of stuff that we eat nowadays that they sell in the stores. So if I want to get something like that up here in the mountain, the culture still exists where I can do that.
So it was the culture change that you were chasing.
The water is clean. I have a well, but I also have mountain springs on my property. Even the mountain springs that I water my garden with are cleaner than that stuff they put in a bottle. It's just so nice. And the air is so fresh. Once in a while we get a wildfire. But what do we get besides that? We don't really, that event we got 20 months ago was tough.
Yeah.
But we don't get tornadoes to speak of.
Yeah.
Hurricanes were so far inland that we'll get the rain and the like, but there are so many events. We don't get earthquakes up here. It's such a beautiful place, and the people have kept it that way. It's the culture that has kept it that way.
The preservation of it.
That's right. I thank them all the time.
Well, you talk about the preservation and the environment, because I kind of wanted to switch gears and talk about, because in a lot of your videos, the Ronnie B Barefoot, you talk about homesteading and growing your own vegetables. That you can grow things naturally, that you do it naturally by seed.
I do.
Why did you want to do it that way?
Because I can't buy seeds anymore that I want to grow. I had a dilemma about 8 years ago. I couldn't find the regular cherry tomatoes.
Yeah.
And I like them for salad, and they're great for making sun-dried tomatoes. Real simple. So I wound up finally finding what I wanted, and then to be able to propagate them from year to year, I do my own seeding on that. Same thing with the winter squash. And a lot of it is acclimated to the environment here. If you buy the seeds, they're all store-bought, and half of them, well, I shouldn't even say half of them, but a proportion of them are made so that you have to buy the seeds, and then you can't use the seeds from those plants. Like the corn and the like, or the beans, it's string beans. I love one of the bush beans, and I have to buy the seeds. It's one of the only seeds that I really have to buy. But if you try to seed them, if you pop them let them grow extra, and you pop them at the end of the year to use the seeds, they don't grow right. They turn into something different. It's a different type of plant. I mean, it's still a green bean, but it's stringier, and it's made like that on purpose, that you have to buy their seed every year.
Yeah,
that's what they do. But if I can seed my own plants, get my own seed from my own plants, that whole thing is out the window. I'm self-sufficient that way.
You're not dependent upon somebody else to provide that specific thing.
Right. That may only work for 1 year.
Yeah. Well, do you repurpose the seeds, or how do you reseed them for the next season?
At the end of the season, I use the seeds. Like, for instance, black beans. Black beans are naturally dried beans. They're great because I don't have to can them, and I don't have to freeze them. All I got to do is get them at the end of the year, pot them, get the seeds, the black beans out, and then put them in a plastic container. And 5 or 10 years from now, when I want another crop, I'm getting low on black beans, I just take the black beans out, run them down the row, and voila.
Do you, I know you say you like to try to work as naturally as possible. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you see somebody else using like gloves or tools, like, and not using their hands when gardening?
Well, that's a shame, because they're depriving themselves of the bacteria. When we were children, we would play in the dirt. I mean, we didn't have this phobia. Nowadays there's so much phobias on danger. Danger, reminds me of the old. There was an old show on TV. I forget what it was, and there was this. They had this robot, and every time the star would get into trouble on a different planet, the robot would swing his arms around and he'd go, "Danger, danger, danger!"
It's like a robot. Yeah.
I forget the name of the show, but it's like, that seems like society today. Every time we turn around, danger, 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 and it's not that way. I mean, there's a lot of. I don't mean to look at things naively.
Yeah.
But there's so many. I mean. The natural dirt has. I'm not going to sit there and eat dirt. I mean, but just getting my hands dirty at the end of the day, I wash my hands. I mean, not a big deal. There's so many. I mean, that's just one thing. I mean, the fertilizers and insecticides that people use nowadays are really over the top. And it even goes as deep as organic gardening. The organic gardeners, if you buy organic food in the store, one of the things they're allowed to use is at the sewage treatment plants. They compress the old human waste and the like that comes through the sewage treatment plant. They compress it, and the organic farmers are allowed to use that for fertilizer. That stuff is high in PFAS. It's so high in PFAS that most people are above what they call the 95th percentile, that they have a dangerously high level. 95% of the public has a dangerously high level of the PFAS, PF, that's the forever plastics.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all over. It's in everything. And then if we're eating it, besides if we're using it for fertilizer or feeding it to animals, feeding the wheat or something like that to the animals get it then too.
Do you think, because you brought up that, do you think the mass public are being misguided as far as labels go?
I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say misguided. I would say that the big industry tries to find the easiest way to make money.
Yeah. And
so they just avoid telling and highlighting different things. And as long as the government doesn't have regulations against them, then they just go with it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, look at the whole pharmaceutical industry.
It's all over the place.
It is. But I don't think that they're trying to mislead us. I just think that they're trying to make a profit. They're doing the best they can, and it's unfortunate, but there's going to be casualties. There's going to be people hurting.
Yeah.
With the PFAS, they're just finding out now that it's causing dementia and Alzheimer's. And they wonder why the incidence of Alzheimer's and dementia is up. Duh.
And that's because those pesticides.
That's right. That's right.
And are they doing that, knowing this now, and they're still using it?
I wouldn't say that. They likely do, but once again, it's an industry. They're trying to do the best they can. They're trying to make a profit. They're answerable to the stockholders. So I don't know that if they're maliciously doing it, I wouldn't take a step in that direction.
Yeah.
What I would say though is they're turning their backs on the ugly. Just like a lot of things in society today. Somehow we've learned, or not we as people, as individuals, but society as a whole seems to have learned to turn its back on the ugly.
Why?
It's just easier. It's
than to just deal with the thing.
Yeah. Everyone, not everyone, but many people want to live in the cities. They want to live in the urban areas. And eventually the tide's going to turn on that too. Right now, a lot of the young folk like that. Up here in the mountains, a lot of the young folk decide they don't want to live up here in the mountains, so they move out. And what does that do to our population up here in the mountains?
It decreases.
It does. It holds it back. It's their choice too. It's not a matter of right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of fault. This is a little catchphrase I have. It's not a matter of fault, Chris. It's a matter of fact. It's just happening,
Yeah.
Rather than point the finger,
Just accept.
Now I get a choice, just like with wearing shoes or not, I get a choice personally of whether I'm going to go along with it or not. Like the food that I eat. It's great, and you can do it up here in the mountains. You can't do that in an urban area.
Yeah. Well, there's so much, like we talked about before, the backlash, but if you want to be a part of their culture, you kind of have to abide by their ways.
That's right. When in Rome, do as the Romans. Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's a certain part of that that's good.
Yeah.
When I do business. I used to have a contract with the country of Morocco, and when you go to Morocco, you go with the culture.
Yeah,
you have to. Well, not that you have to, but it's just the right thing to do. It's the polite thing to do.
You're not going to go against the grain.
Yeah, when you're in the company of others, you're respectful. At least you and I are, because that's what we're taught in a Christian environment. We want to be respectful, regardless of a person's background. As a chaplain, when I'm working with someone as a chaplain, if they're Jewish or Islam or Buddhist or Christian, it doesn't matter. I can still. It's not like I'm trying to proselytize them and bring them to Christianity. I'm working on a hurt. I'm working on a soul. I'm working on somebody who's got some type of issue, something that they're dealing with,
Person.
and that goes way beyond that.
Yeah. Well, because a lot about what you just spoke on is more so you're not worried about all the external stuff. You're just working on the person moment.
That's right. That's right. As far as the chaplaincy work, yes, absolutely. And you know what? A lot of that you can do up here in the mountains. That's a specific to being a chaplain and being a real chaplain, not a chaplain that's has another agenda. But up here in the mountains, we can do that a lot easier than you can in the urban areas, because there's so much social pressure in the urban or suburban environments, and we don't have that up here.
You don't think there's many social pressures in the mountain environment?
No, the people up here are very non-assuming, very loving people. It's such a. If I close my eyes, if I'm anywhere in the world, I close my eyes and I think about where I live, it brings a smile to my face.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is. It is. Now, a lot of people move up here and they can't. They don't like the loneliness or the seclusion of living in this type of culture. This is. I'm not a hermit. A hermit would feel really good here, but I'm not a hermit.
Yeah.
But I love the serenity. It's not so much the seclusionness, but it's the serenity.
You've talked a lot about what kind of brought you to the mountains and then your environment while you've been here. So your day-to-day life is like a homesteader. What does that look like as far as like growing your own vegetables, growing your own food, being self-sufficient, and kind of relying on relying on the land.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Now, there are challenges. We had that 3-month drought where we only had that one night with an inch of rain. I lost a lot of my crop. I had pre-started my cucumbers because I like making a spicy pickle. And I ferment it in a crock, and I do it the old-fashioned way, the way my grandmother did it. And I ferment it for 30 days and then put it in secondary fermentation so that it's high in what they call probiotics. It's good for you.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I grow my own lavender for tea now and my own mint. And there's so many things that we could do up here in the mountains. We got to have the time. We got to have the time and the inclination, and the weather helps. It really does help. But sometimes we just have to go with it. We had the drought, and I lost all of my cucumbers. I had put in 120 cucumber plants. I lost them all. But right before the end of it, I reseeded, and now they're already this high. They won't be as early as I wanted them to be, but God is still providing me with the product. You know, well, I shouldn't say that because just the plants are growing now. I don't know what the product's going to look like.
Yeah.
I lost about half of my tomatoes, but I have wild cherry tomatoes that grow, and just this morning I dug them up and put them back into place. So the tomatoes I'll recover from. The peppers, that's a different story because you grow them, I start them in February. But you see, the thing is, if I'm going to do everything from seed and I'm going to do everything like a homesteader would, and I want to have control of that, I have to depend on the weather a little bit, but at the same time, I'm just doing the best I can. Whatever God grants me. I mean, I looked down at my pepper plants, and I lost 2/3 of my pepper plants. And at first I started pulling because we had this frost.
Yeah.
Towards the end of it, we had, about 2 weeks ago, we had a frost up here, and it took out a lot of the plants. And I started pulling out 1 or 2 of the pepper plants, and you know what? I looked down at the pepper plants, and it was so cool. It was such an awesome thing. And I says, who am I? Who do I think I am? If God can bring dead bones back to life, if I pray, maybe, just maybe, God will put life into my plants. Now, they ain't as good as new, but let me tell you something. The ones that I did leave in, there's sprouts coming out from that first settle where the first set of leaves were, and they were killed from the frost. There's little sprouts that are coming out, and God is making the plants grow again. You know,
awesome.
So with a little bit of faith, I mean, God has the power. All I have to do is give it a little bit of faith, Chris, and let it work. You know, at first I started pulling the plants out. I says, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. You know, so it's from seed. All those plants are from seed. I'll get the cucumbers, and I'll wind up with the whatever yield I get for the pickles, and then the tomatoes and the peppers. I love pickling. I had a good mountain lady taught me how to pickle, cold pack pickles for the not pickles, but to pickle my peppers.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years. Elise, if you're watching this, I owe it all to you. She's a good mountain lady that taught me how to do it. But you know what? That's all what we do. We share what we have freely, and the mountain people will do that if you get to know them. If you're going to be a jerk, nobody's going to want to know you.
Well, yeah, that's really true in any situation.
It is.
Well, you talked about how some of your vegetables and plants you were planting back in February. And, I mean, that takes a lot of prep work. A lot of people don't think there's a lot of prep work when it comes to gardening. What does the prep work look like trying to prepare an actual, large garden?
The biggest garden I've grown so far is a half an acre.
Okay.
But it's just me. It's just me alone. So I mean, it's a lot of work doing a half a garden, especially when the weeding season comes in. That's the worst. But
well, half an acre, that's a large.
It is. I have a water cannon that I use, and I pump the stream for water if I need it. Or if I get 100 if I can get 100 gallons per minute, I can pump. I can turn on the water cannon. Will work, and I can irrigate the whole thing. That's a lot of work, though. Starting it from seed is tough. If it's a commitment, because if I do that, I have a little greenhouse. It's not much of a greenhouse. It's like a flat thing I put on my deck. It's got doors in it. But what I have is I have a little heater No, not a little heater. I could put a heater if I wanted to, but it's got a thermistor in there to be able to turn on and off at a certain temperature. And then I have heating pads, and I use flats. I don't use those plastic things. I use regular wooden, the old-fashioned wooden flats. I make them myself. It's easy to make, and then I just put the seed and the seed starter in flats, and I got to keep them warm each night. And then they start to sprout and they start to grow. There's a little extra work and commitment involved with that. And then, when it gets closer, the field's got to get tilled. I've got a tractor, so I can till it. I mean, takes the tiller on the tractor, takes a lot of the work out of it. Because to do that with a pony, which is that handheld blade thing that pushes around, that's a lot of work. I mean, it works, but I mean, if you're going to have a garden, this year my garden is 50 by 50. And it's still a lot, but it's not so much that it's overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, I noticed you talked about commitment. If you can see the thing that you're doing and see it through and have the commitment to finish it, the results are going to be so much more, fulfilling to you because you stuck it out. You done the thing and you stay committed.
That's right. And it's, it's the mountain way. That's how the mountain culture is. It's such a beautiful thing. I've got an elderly lady 2 years ago, right before the event, the storm that we had. I had a bumper crop of apples. I got a couple of apple trees, and I got about, maybe 4 bushel of apple. And I can only do 2.5 bushel myself. And any more than that, I wind up with 3 or 4 cases of jarred apples as a result. And this sweet elderly lady, she says, well, Ronnie B, what do you do with the rinds and the cores? And I said, well, I feed them out to the deer because I have deer that live on my property. It's such a beautiful thing. I'm neighbors with all these other animals. It's so beautiful. And she said, oh, don't do that. She says, here's a recipe for apple cider vinegar. Make your own apple cider vinegar. So that's what I did. I made my own apple cider, and from that, from 2 years ago, I got about 6 gallons. I've got 5 gallons left, and I'm going to use that for secondary fermentation for my pickles this year. But once again, God provides the apples. I mean, I put the apple trees in years ago, but they've survived, and I get the crop of apples. I can do this with it with a little bit of. There's a little bit of work involved. Let's face it. If all you want to do is go to the store and buy yourself a gallon of apple cider vinegar, voila, more power to you. And then it's $15. But what's in that? And not only that, you didn't do it yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, not you as an individual, but a person. I can get to do everything myself and have all of my stuff made from products that God graciously gave me from my property just because I put a little bit of time and effort in. And anyone can do it. You just have to have the land. A long time ago, I read a book called 5 Acres and Independence. And it's written back in the 1950s. And it tells you about a lot of different secrets and things that you could do to be, with just 5 acres of land, to be independent and to be able to live off the land. That's all you need.
Yes.
5 acres, and you can do it.
Well, you talked about your garden kind of being like, what was it, 50 by 50?
This year it's a 50 by 50,
So how do you keep something such as like a deer or something from not only approaching it, but getting into...
Yeah, the animals are a big deal. I used to electrify it, and I used to put electric. And then I look at my electric bill going up, and I mean, because you got to keep the wires charged, you know? Yeah. And then the deer hit that, and it royally pisses them off, Chris. They do not like getting jolted, so they back right off. I used to joke with Jim Saylor about he showed me how to put the peanut butter on the tin foil on the fence so that the deer would lick it to learn their lesson. And I joke with him, I says, I don't have to put an electric fence up. All I got to do is put the peanut butter up on the fence post, and they'll look at that and they go, oh no, we ain't licking that stuff.
Once bitten, twice shy.
That's right. But I used to do that, and it works fine. But you know what it doesn't work for is the critters, because the critters still get under. So I had to deal with that, and that was tough, dealing with the critters. Because if you trap them, then what do you do? Because you got the skunk, you got the possum, and you got the coons. You know, and you can't, if you don't eradicate them, they're just going to come back. And it broke my heart. I mean, these are animals, God-given animals that'll live in there too, Chris. And who am I to say what's to stay and what's to go? You know, I mean, I've got so many different animals. 2 years ago, I saw a mink, a black mink, living on my property. It's a beautiful, beautiful animal. But I've changed it since then. I've got an engineer friend of mine said that all I need to do is soften the soil on the outside of the fence and they won't jump it. So to this day, ever since then, I put up a 4-foot fence. It doesn't have to be a 5 or a 6-foot fence. I don't need barbed wire on top. All I do is I put up enough of a fence that the deer has to jump it, and then I soften the ground all the way around the outside, and the deer will come on the soft soil, and deer are very smart. When they're digging their feet in the soft soil, they know they can't jump it because they can't get the leverage on their feet to be able to make the leap.
Right.
So they don't jump it. I've done that ever since. It doesn't cost anything. I just have to keep it regular fenced. And then when I need to get the tractor through, I just pull one side of the fence down and I can run my tractor through laterally. And it doesn't cost anything. And it's simpler. And then I can put flowers in that outside section. And the neighbors say, "Oh, you got all those zinnias. Can I come back?" And so all the neighbors are sharing the flowers now with all the neighbors. You know, what does it cost me? Nothing. That's right. I take the zinnia pods at the end of the year and I crush them through a crusher, and then I just go and broadcast them. I can throw them anywhere. I can go to your backyard and all of a sudden you say, "Wow, Ronnie B is here. Look at all them zinnias growing." But it doesn't cost anything. All it costs is a little bit of time and some goodwill. You know, and there's a lot of that already up here in the mountain culture. That's why I feel so comfortable up here. It's so nice. I encourage people. I mean, in my videos, I encourage people, outsiders or anything, if they really want to get away from the urban environment, there is a safe place up here in the mountains. It's more than safe. It's a culture that we can provide for ourselves, and people love each other, and there's so much more to it than that.
I know that you had made a post about your generation was one of the ones that started, I can't remember how it was phrased, but it was back in the 70s, and your generation was one of the ones that started Earth Day.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's like 20 million like teenagers, young kids, all out on this day just picking up the earth. Were you a part of that kind of thing, and what did that look like?
We had back in 1970, and we had this thing all of a sudden came up where people were concerned about the earth and taking care of our planet. And the biggest grief that we had back then was people littering, because people threw garbage everywhere. I mean, I learned, I don't know, maybe when I was 12 years old, when I was at the beach with my Aunt Ruth, God bless her soul, what a wonderful woman. And she had given me a piece of candy, and I just ate the candy and threw the wrapper, and she looked at me and she says, "What did you do?" I says, "Well, what did I do?" And she says, "No, where's that wrapper?" I said, "Oh, I just threw it away." "You threw it away? You threw it on the beach. Who's going to pick that up?" You know, and she said it so wonderfully and with such purpose that I learned from then what my responsibility to the planet was. And so when the first Earth Day came along, it was about cleaning up. It was about cleaning up the litter that other people put out there. And in my video, I talk about the how we had turned it into fun. I mean, what we did is we went down to the park, and I forget whether someone got pushed in. I was the little guy, so I probably got pushed in first. But however it happened, we all wound up jumping in the water, and it was reasonably warm that day. And but it was about cleaning up the earth and trying to maintain the earth. It had nothing to do with carbon footprint.
Yeah. It
had nothing to do with a lot of this stuff. Society and industry has taken the old Earth Day and they've morphed it into their own personal agenda. And
commercialized.
It's wrong. It's just wrong. I mean, the original intent was beautiful, beautiful thing, but it's really been warped since then.
What do you think could happen, or the impact we could have if 20 million people today came together for that same cause, just to pick up, this litter issue and better our planet? That would
be wonderful, especially in the urban areas, because there's so many people in the urban areas. It would be spotless. Can you just imagine everyone going outside with brooms and the like to get things clean? You got high rises and the like. But let me tell you something. I'm going to get back on my little pedestal here for a second.
No, hit me with it.
Well, the first thing, if people want to clean up the planet, the first thing they should do is stop wearing shoes. Because the rubber and plastic on the bottom of our shoes, if you go through a pair of shoes a year, do you think that's probably about a half a pound of plastic and and rubber or whatever's in a shoe nowadays, chemicals that make up the shoe.
Yeah.
That goes down into the street and wind up in the water and goes into the sewage system or into the oceans. You figure now, if one person's got 1 pound and you've got 500 million people wearing shoes, think about the result. Think about the impact on our environment that wearing shoes, such a simple thing as that, wearing shoes, and that's a direct thing because you don't have to, it's not a debatable thing. I mean, the shoe gets worn down. Everyone knows that. You get holes in your shoes and the like. And then it winds up in with the water. It goes into the water streams. And so, I mean, if somebody is really serious, that's a great place to start.
Your shoes.
Yeah, just kick off the shoes. You've just saved a pound of debris from being in the earth. And if everyone did that, if 200 million people did that, just think about how many pounds of debris of plastic and rubber and chemicals that's not getting in the runoff, the water runoff.
How do you, if that solution were to take place, what am I supposed to do? Like, what do I do with my shoe if I take it off and get rid of it? What am I doing with it?
Well, then it'll wind up in the dumps, or they'll crush it or something like that. It'll wind up in a landfill somewhere, and it won't wind up in the groundwater. Well, I mean, it could, but it's not getting ground down to like a powder and wash and being in with the groundwater that way.
I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see that.
I doubt it.
It is a great solution, though.
I doubt it. But you know what? And I'm so disappointed. They've got all these different days. You know, we have a Black History Month, and they've got all different days and all different months. And I'm not belittling any of them. They all have a purpose, and they're all beautiful things to bring our attention to cultural things that we should be aware of.
Yeah.
Why don't we have a Barefoot Day where everyone just leaves their shoes at home and goes barefoot?
Ronnie B Barefoot.
Just call it beep. Just I don't need no credit, Chris. I'm not here for the credit. I'm just here to spread the good word.
What would your day be if you chose to have a National Barefoot Day?
What day would it be? Well, it'd be a warm day in the summertime, so people didn't have to complain about it. You know, it'd probably be a Sunday because people usually take, if people only wash and shower once a week, then they're going to do it Saturday night for church. At least their feet would be clean. One of the things, if you don't wear shoes, that you have to do is you have to groom your feet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would hope that it would be a Sunday where people could have more respect for their feet as well as enjoying just that one day of living barefoot.
Well, hopefully we'll have that holiday.
I doubt it. No, I doubt it sincerely. But it would be nice. I mean,
Dreams, right?
I can do it. You can do it. Anyone can do it if you choose.
I like to leave all the listeners with a final thought from my guest each podcast. What is it about the mountain living that the rest of the world is missing out on?
It's a natural way. We can do up here in the mountains anything we want. If we want to be a hunter, we can be a hunter. A trapper, we could be a trapper. If we want to be a gardener, we can be a gardener. We can do anything we want up here, within reason. I mean, you can't do stupid things or break the law.
Yeah.
We could be a hermit if we choose, or we could find social things that we want to be involved with. There's lots of community things. I mean, we've got the senior center, we've got access to Johnson City, and I mean, the airports, Asheville or Charlotte is relatively close. We have a lot of those things. We just need to reach out a little bit further for them. But to be able to appreciate and enjoy fresh air, fresh water, and beautiful people, you can't replace it. You really can't.
Ronnie B, thank you so much, man.
You're the best.
It was a pleasure.
Keep up the good stuff.